Hello and welcome back to Votes on Me. We're going to be going over another cast announcement, but this one's actually for real, as they've departed the country, headed to Vietnam with Trent, as we are going to be going through the cast, the format, and all of the in-between as we kind of talk about the upcoming Season 40, as there's not much to talk about right now in the challenge world as we patiently wait for All Stars 4. But let's go ahead and start getting into this, going over the format first. I think the format's going to be definitely the most fluid thing that we talk about here, just because who knows exactly how it's going to work. But the theme is basically best of the best, battle of the eras. So it's Season 40. They're essentially thinking that there's 4 distinct eras that they can separate these people. So I imagine it's going to at least start out in teams. I doubt it finishes in teams just because they like to have 1 or 2 winners. For some reason, they don't want to have, a lot of winners. I don't understand that, but they just don't. I would love it if they finished as teams, though. We haven't had a team finish since War of the Worlds 2. And I think this one especially, there's just a lot of them. So when I talk about it, I'm going to be talking about it as if they're staying in these teams the whole time. They probably won't, though, but we'll be breaking it down as if they are. So starting out is going to be with the first era. So Trent, I'm guessing you could probably understand how this is going to be broken down.
Yeah.
The first era is going to be people that debuted from season 1 through 10. So the first 10 seasons of the show. And we have Aneesa, who is looking like she's in shape now. And that's awesome to see. I'm rooting for her here. Yeah, Katie, who infamously scared of water, heights over water to be exact. Had some pretty bad falls. Doesn't know how to fall. But she's says some funny things from time and again. We got Rachel, coming back for her 10th season. That is counting spring break. And then Tina, who is the only other non-champ on this team outside of Aneesa. So it's Aneesa and Tina. The rest are champs. We got Jody, and then CT, Darrell, and Brad. So all guys that showed up as mercenaries on last season. And then Derek, who is coming back for his 14th season. Mark on only his 9th season, which is kind of strange because Mark is kind of the challenge, old school, but he really hasn't done many shows. But he's doing this one. So this is going to be a new record set here as the oldest competitor on the challenge. Let's see how old Mark Long is real quick. I think he is in his 50s. He is 52. It's going to be the oldest competitor.
Yeah. Here. My question is, do you think that those guys still have a shot to win?
So, I mean, you got CT. CT obviously has a shot to win.
I guess if they're competing as a group.
Yeah, that's the thing. As a group, the biggest question mark about this team is going to be cardio and the women on this team, because I think Rachel is still very strong, and Jody is still very strong. But there is question marks around Katie, Tina, and Aneesa for me. I think those include 2 of the people that have never won, with Tina and Aneesa. But I think Aneesa, this is her 20th season, which I believe makes her the first woman ever to compete on 20 seasons. So
that's crazy.
Congrats to her. She's never won, though. And this is probably her best shot to win if it stays teams, because, if she could run 2 miles, that would be huge for her. And she's probably going to be one of the strongest women on this team regardless. I think that would be my biggest concern. I think the guys, honestly, I think Derek is still as good as Derek ever was. Granted, he's weak on puzzles, but he's a very good just team player. Mark is a physical beast still. I just worry about his cardio. I don't worry about Darrell and Brad's cardio. I think those guys could still get it done.
Yeah.
So if they could go into a final with like CT, Darrell, Brad, Rachel, and Jody, those 5 are like their team running the final at the end, I absolutely think that that's a winning team. But they definitely have their work cut out for them age-wise, as most of these people are generally younger than them, but not by much. You'll find as we go through this, the ages of pretty much everyone is 30s to 40s. They used to cast a lot younger on this show when it was more about partying, when it was more about being in your face. They used to cast people in their early 20s. I remember there was someone on the show that was 18 years old back in the day. So now most rookies that come in are in their late 20s to 30s, so there isn't as big of an age gap as you maybe expect at first. Then we have the second era, which starts at Fresh Meat. And it's, for this, they titled it Fresh Meat and Friends. There is Cara, who's on her 17th season. Laurel on her 9th season. Kellyanne, who is on her 8th season. Emily Scrum on her 5th season. And Aviv, coming back for only her 2nd season. Aviv won Fresh Meat with Darrell and has not been seen since. So that's a big get for them. I'm sure they've been calling her back for years at this point, but I guess that season 40 paycheck was enough. I talked about Emily Scrum a little bit in the last cast breakdown, but I think this team absolutely has the strongest women, like Cara, Laurel, Kellyanne, Emily, and Aviv. I don't know what kind of shape Aviv's in. Haven't seen her in 20 plus years. But those 4, all great shape, as we know. Kellyanne's probably the weakest out of them. But when we go from the last team that had Tina and Katie to this one where their weakest woman is probably Kellyanne, that is a big difference. So this is also going to be the team with Johnny Bananas, Nehemiah, Ryan Kay, Brandon Nelson, and Derek Chavez on this team. Interesting set of men here, as after Johnny, the only other champ is Nehemiah, and he only won 1 season. Then from there's Ryan, Brandon, Derek. It's not a strong men's side on this one. And I wonder if they did that for balancing. They have maybe the strongest women, and they give them maybe the weakest men. I don't know. But this is all just perceived. This is all just how I'm perceiving it. These guys could be, who knows? Maybe Ryan's been in the lab working, and we're not seeing it. But it should at the very least be interesting. I'm glad to see Brandon Nelson back. He was always the guy getting thrown in all the time. And he ended up winning, I think, like 4 in a row one season. But he was unfortunately one of those guys that wasn't like Horacio, and they just kept throwing him in, and eventually he actually went home. And he's always just been that guy that doesn't really have the alliances. So I wonder on a team like this, where he's one of the strongest guys on the team, if maybe he'll be looked at more favorably. I'm interested to see how Johnny is going to approach this team. If you look at it, this is 26th season. The only other person on his team that has over 10 seasons is Cara. This is the team that Wes would be on, but it seems like he is sticking true to his retirement. And I could definitely see this team turning on Johnny and just like voting him out immediately. So I'm sure he'll be worried about that, and we'll get plenty of confessionals in that regard. Then we get into the era that you're probably going to be a bit more familiar with, as well as anybody that has started watching the show recently. It is the Rivals and Invasion era, which includes Tori, John A., Amanda, Nia, and Avery. So you got Tori and John A. as the only champs on the women's side. And then for the men, you got Leroy, Corey Wharton, Devin, Tony, and then we don't know who the last person is. Now, there's a bit of tea on this. It's supposed to be Jordan, but Jordan has obligations that he isn't wanting to give up, or maybe he signed a contract that he can't do, but they seem to really want it to be Jordan still. But the alternates that they have available are Jay and Derrick Henry. Now, it's not that Derrick Henry, unfortunately. There will be no stiff arms. This is Tori's ex, Derrick Henry, her initial ex, because she actually came into the show dating some guy that she ended up cheating on Jordan with. It's a wild time. I recommend watching Dirty 30 if you get the chance, Trent.
All right, check it out.
Because pretty much this entire team you'll be able to get a good grasp on for Dirty 30 outside of Nia and Avery and John A. But Amanda is a big player in Dirty 30. Tori, big player. Corey, big player. Leroy coming out of retirement. I think this team is the most well-rounded that we've seen. I think the Golden Age, like I said, it's strong men. The second age is strong women, and then this third age is a bit more balanced, as you have Devin and Tony, who are probably the strongest guys, but Corey and Leroy also very strong. I think that team's probably going to be the one to look out for, even though there is only 4 champs on the whole team. And then the only team with less champs is going to be the most recent one, which the only 2 champs are Jenny and Casey. And the rest of the women are Michelle, Nerisse, who is basically a champ, and Olivia, who, maybe could have won Ride or Dies if her nose didn't get, or was it her nose or just her face?
If they wore goggles, they would have won.
Yeah, they needed maybe more than goggles, but
yeah.
The men on this team, there is not a single male champion, but that is not surprising, other than the fact that there's no Emmanuel. I kind of just assumed Emmanuel would be a lock. You win the last season, the battle for a new champion, you kind of assume you're going to be on 40, but I guess that was an incorrect assumption. There are, and I'm guessing it's probably international issues that stop this, because I'm looking at this and it looks like it's completely American outside of Theo Campbell, who's going to be playing since we saw him on World Championship. But the men on this is Josh, Paulie, Theo, Horacio, and Kylan. So Horacio and Kylan back together as friends on the same team with Josh, Paulie, and Theo. It's an entertaining one, to say the least, and I'm glad we get to see some more like Paulie and Bananas interactions, because that was, I think, the highlight of the early USA 2 season. So, yeah, that is the format. That is the breakdown, going through some of the alternates of people that you might see if there's an injury. Faisal is an alternate for that team. Every team has at least 2 alternates. Big T is the alternate for the women on that side. And then going back in reverse order, the Era 3 has Jasmine as the woman alternate. And like I said, it was Jay and Derrick Henry as the male alternates. Then Carly, who hasn't shown up since Fresh Meat, she is an alternate. and Big Easy as well. And then for the Golden Age alternates, it's Cyrus and Ruthie. So I'm sure we'll be seeing at least a couple of them. I read that the alternates are not on location, so they will be flying out as deemed necessary if there is an injury or something like that. But I'm really excited for this season. I imagine they are out there right now as we speak, doing some silly challenges, or maybe they're just in the house, just talking amongst each other and complaining about something. But it will be something that we'll get to see eventually. Not before we'll see the whatever happens on All Stars 4 with all the people that we're seeing here. So I'm excited. We, I think, definitely need to go through some of these seasons and just kind of rewatch, do some like more thorough character breakdowns for these people that are coming back, and maybe even get some interviews going.
Yeah.
As we get our footing established here. But what are you most, I'd say, like looking forward to seeing with a season 40, Trent? Like, are you wanting to keep up in the production, or you want to see maybe just basic, straightforward type of show here?
I want to see, less convoluted format, I feel like, this season, which it seems like it obviously is going to be. And I just feel like this season Horacio might get a little bit more respect than he did last season with Jay in the house.
I think it'll be fun with Horacio and Kylan, seeing how they interact with a lot of the older guys that I never thought I'd see him on screen with, and Kylan especially, because I know he is a challenge fan, so he's going to know who a lot of these people are.
Yeah.
And he'll probably be fanboying a little bit as they go through that. I really hope they get Jordan. It's still a chance, but if it doesn't happen, then slight L. But if it does happen, that team is probably the best there. Because then they have Devin, Tony, Jordan, Corey, and Leroy.
Yeah.
And that side of men would be absolutely impossible to
That's
stop.
Stacked.
Looking at it here, though, I would probably predict that the Era 2 will win. I was obviously kind of crapping on the guys on this side, but assuming it's Johnny, and then one of these guys steps up, Nehemiah, Ryan, Brandon, Derek, one of those guys kind of, steps up and is able to fill a good role. Like the women on this team, Emily Scrom, Laurel, Cara, Kellyanne, I think there's going to be just such a big difference between that team of women and all of the other ones that it's really going to kind of set the pace early. But
yeah,
we'll have to see.
Excited to see it.
Well, thank you for listening along with us, hearing me kind of explain all of the my thoughts on this cast, and make sure you check back again in a few weeks as we'll be dropping a bunch of content on here. Let us know what you want to see, though. If you want to see some like elimination breakdowns, if you want to see full season breakdowns, whatever it is, let us know. We're going to be workshopping some things in the coming weeks. But thank you for listening through this while we look forward to season 40 and the rest of the challenge mythos.
Yeah.
But
Thanks for listening, guys.
have a good one. Peace.